Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. So I'm doing another fluid art creation. I'm using a 20 by 16 inch canvas, deep edge, and I've got a colour palette that I absolutely love. It's blues plus a metallic, but not gold, I promise. I'm switching my metallic colour to, well, you'll find out in a minute, because what I'll do is I'll take you down to the canvas to show you the canvas. I'll show you the colour palette as well and the consistency of the colours. Thicker consistency than, say, my Dutch pour technique. I'm using 1 part paint to 3 parts pouring medium and 1 part water. So can you guess the technique? Anyway, let me take you down, let me show you the canvas, let me show you the paints. Let's see what we can create. So these are all the colours that I'm going to use for this creation, and my metallic is a silver. I'm going to list each and every one of these colours, including the brands of paint, in the video description box, so please check that out for more information. But you can see here the consistency that I have is still very fluid. The paint is mixed with a pouring medium and water. I'm using 1 part paint, 1 part water and 3 parts pouring medium. I'm using Owatrol's Floetrol, and the version that I'm using is slightly thicker than the US version of Floetrol, and that's why I add more water. So I just wanted to show you my cell activator. So this is a mixture of Australian Floetrol and Amsterdam's titanium white. So I've got 3 parts Floetrol, so 3 parts Australian Floetrol to 1 part titanium white by Amsterdam. And when I mix it all up, give it a good mix so there's no lumps, this is the consistency. So it runs off the spatula into the paint and disappears, leaves a slight trace, and then it absorbs within the paint. So that's the consistency you're looking for. This is going to be my swipe paint, so I'm going to cover my palette knife within this paint and swipe it across the creation, and that's what's going to create the cells. That's my cell activator. So there's no colour already on the canvas, there's no paint, there's no pillow, and there's definitely no paint before I add these puddles. So all I'm going to do is take 1 colour at a time, and I'm going to puddle the paint onto the canvas. I'm going to concentrate mainly in the middle. I'm not going to puddle right to the edges, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be picking up my canvas and tilting it out before I stretch that paint fully across the surface area. So I don't need puddles right to the edge. So my initial puddles are now on the surface area of the canvas, but I just want to make it a little bit more interesting, and I really do want to infuse some of those colours. So I'm going to double puddle some of those colours, and you'll see here I'm putting a lighter blue on top of a darker blue. I'm placing some silver on some of the darker blue areas. So I'm just mixing up some of those puddles, and I'm ensuring that there's 2 colours within each puddle before I continue the process. So before I continue, let me just take you down now just for a quick look so you can see the puddles that I've created. You can see 2 colour combinations within each puddle area. I'm hoping that's going to really infuse those colours. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm going to cover the palette knife with the cell activator. But first of all, I'm just going to use the palette knife just to create some initial lines. I'm going to swirl the palette knife from puddle to puddle, just creating some random lines and patterns before I add the cell activator. So I just clean off my palette knife before I reuse it with the cell activator. So I'm just going to get the cell activator now, and that's the Australian Floetrol mixed with the titanium white. So I'm just going to add some of that now onto the back of the palette knife. I'm just going to ensure that there's a good amount on that palette knife. It's going to be fully covered, and then I'm going to turn the palette knife over, and I will connect the paint that I've got within the palette knife, so the cell activator, on top of the puddles that I've just swirled with the palette knife. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just swipe. So I'm just going to move my cell activator. I'm going to ensure that I've got good coverage on my palette knife. And then I'm going to place the palette knife on top of the paint. I'm just going to rest it on the surface, just letting both paints connect, and then I will slowly drag over the palette knife, just in one direction, going from top to bottom. And you'll see that the reaction already starts to happen. That cell activator is working with the paint that we've puddled, combined with the Australian Floetrol and the titanium white, to make some really interesting cells. I've cleaned off my palette knife, and I'm going to repeat exactly that same process and swipe one more time on the canvas. Wow, the reaction is really amazing. So I'm just going to clean off my palette knife, just with a paper towel. I'm going to use my butane torch, so I'm just going to go over the creation, 1 to pop air bubbles and 2 to help that reaction. I'm just going to take you in now for a close-up just so you can see some of those cells and that lacing that has formed. But obviously now it's going to be about stretching out the design. And I've just pointed out a lump of paint that I can see. But I'm not too worried about that because I know I need to tilt the design from side to side and ensure I get good coverage across the canvas. So that will fall off once I tilt it out. So now it's just about stretching out that design, ensuring that I cover the full surface area of the canvas. I don't want to see any white once I've finished. And it's about walking that paint from one area to another. And what I mean by that is slowly tilting from side to side, allowing that paint to flow across that canvas. And then once I'm ready, just pouring it and tipping it over the edge and then bringing it back on itself. There's enough volume of paint here to fill that canvas area. So it's about not rushing the process and really looking at the piece as you tilt. Really looking at those cells and lacing opening up and looking at the colours, the block colours that are there too. Because when you're tilting and you're creating your patterns and your design, you want that balance of block colour and the balance of the lacing too. If you're enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, share it out, and if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, it's free to do, so hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified of all my future videos. I try and release 2 creations a week, and I like to vary the techniques just to showcase how we can really evolve with our own creativity, and it's so great that so many of you are here along the way with me. And I really enjoy reading your comments, so if you've got something to say, good, bad, constructive, please drop a comment in the comments section below and let me know your thoughts on this piece. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with the composition. So I'm going to take you in now for a close-up of the wet version. You will see here those cells that have been really stretched out. And then the lines that were created with the palette knife when we were swirling the palette knife from one puddle to another. And then cells also on the other side of that middle section. I really love the infusion of these colours too. And a blue colour palette is one of my most favourite, so it's already a win for me. I'm going to let this dry and then I'll take you in for a closer look at the dry version, but I'll also leave you now with just some close-ups of this wet version. And here's the dry version. I'm so happy with it. I just love the blues. I love how it's all come together. And I really do enjoy the balance of that lacing compared with those block colours with the lines that we used with the palette knife. I'm so happy with this one. And of course, I'm going to do some more blue creations too, because I feel that this palette really worked well. And I love that level of detail, the lacing, the lines and the block colour. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I really hope I get to see you again in the next video. Have a fantastic week ahead. I hope you're having fun with your own creativity too, so let me know how you're getting on. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.